Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf and to the first recent reads on Sunday. If you follow my channel, you already know. If you're new, welcome, Happy New Year, that I switched my filming and uploading schedule from Friday, Sunday to Sunday, Wednesday. So instead of the Friday reads, I'm going to do recent reads on Sunday, which is basically the same thing. It's just not on a Friday. Anyway, so I will talk about the books that I finished, that I'm currently reading, and that I started or am about to start. And the first one is starting with the books that I finished is actually the first, or was the first book of the year, and that is graphic memoir, graphic nonfiction, Wake, The Hidden History of Women-Led Slave Revolts by Rebecca Hall. And that was this book was published last year in, I think it's September 2021. And again, if you follow my channel, you know that I like to start the reading year with a graphic novel, memoir, nonfiction, because I don't read that much graphic stuff, and also it's something, I don't know, it's something easy, quote unquote, to start with. And I pick something that that I've seen on other channels, and this one made the rounds. Rebecca Hall is a historian. She works at the university, and this book is about, like it says on the cover, about the forgotten women, quote unquote, because if we look at slave revolt, or at least not if we look, but if the way revolts are presented, especially on ships, it's always guys. And she didn't believe that. And there is research that especially if there were women on ships, the chance that there would be a revolt increased by like 10. And that basically comes from the fact that women were not kept below deck in chains because they weren't considered a danger. Anyway, so this is about her search for this forgotten part of history. It was a fantastic start of the year, gave it 5 stars. I have to say though, that it's very text heavy. No, let me put this one. And if you can see that, it's beautifully done, also the writing, but it's quite small. So for people, elderly people like me, I found it sometimes a bit difficult to, read, especially if the lighting is not 100% optimal. So that was something that I thought, that was not, just not 100% how I would have liked it. But for the rest, it was a fantastic read, and I can certainly recommend it if you're interested in this type of memoir where somebody, goes on a quest and you get a good deal of history. That was absolutely fascinating. The second book I finished this year was also, it was not a graphic memoir or graphic nonfiction, but there were a lot of illustrations, and it was beautiful. And it was a gift from Doris, from all the books. Sarah, can you see that? Sarah B. Pomeroy, Maria Sibylla Merian. So it is about this woman, who was a 17th century scientist, even though she was a woman, and an artist, because she drew the plants and animals that she observed in nature. And she also was quite adventurous. She she's born in Frankfurt, she moved to Holland, and then later she crossed the big ocean to Suriname to look at the plants and the animals there, which is a very, very unusual life. She was married, got divorced, had 2 children, 2 daughters, and her daughters also worked as artists, illustrators, and scientists, explorers. I have been fascinated by her for a long time because my mother was fascinated by her, and she told me about her. Doris didn't know that, but it was one of those presents that a person just gives you something that is absolutely ticks all the boxes and fits everything that you like, and it is beautiful. Look at these illustrations. They are all by the artist Sibylla Merian, or by her daughters. It is a book for children, actually, telling us about her life, but it's not. If I hadn't known it had been a book for children, I would have sometimes probably thought, why is this explained? Like metamorphosis, the term is explained, but it's certainly worth your time as an adult, and it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So again, thank you, Doris. This was a perfect gift, and I really enjoyed it. And check out Maria Sibylla Merian, because she was quite a special a woman, absolutely. And then the last book that I want to talk to you about that I finished was this one, Attica Locke, Bluebird, Bluebird, which was published in, I think, 2017. But as always, you will find the publication date in the show notes. Attica Locke is a Black American writer, crime writer. I read 2 previous books by her that I quite liked. And this one is the first in her Highway 59 series. There is another one already out, something Home in the title, and 2 more will come. They are already planned for 2024 and 2025, I think. So if you are into crime series, this is going to be a series. There is your main detective, Darren Matthews, is a Black Texas Ranger, and he investigates, obviously, a murder. In this case, 2 murders. I thoroughly enjoy Attica Locke's work. I have to say, if you read a lot of crime books, and I did read quite some crime novels in the past, there are some stereotypical cliches in here that, I wouldn't say I had an eye roll. That sounds much too negative, but it's something that if you read a lot of crime, you sometimes think, oh, come on. And that is your typical detective who has a little bit of a drinking problem and is just on the cusp of divorce, or has been divorced, something like that. It's I don't know. It's not a trope that I find very innovative. But the story was good. The murder of a Black man and a white woman, how the clues worked. Very, very fast-paced, entertaining, well-written. You get a lot of history also of Texas and how the society works. So it's a combination of the fast-paced detective book, but also some really, groundwork of the setting, which I always love, the combination. Then on to the books that I'm currently reading. The first one is a buddy read with Adam, and that is it's a glare, Library of America edition of The Complete Orsina. That is the Malafrena novel and Songs and Stories. Ursula Le Guin, of course, you don't need an introduction to her, science fiction writer. And Adam and I are slowly making our way through her work. Last year we read the Hainish Cycle books, so her most famous sci-fi books, and a couple of short stories. And we started off this year with The Complete Orsina and Malafrena, which is a historical novel, so it's not sci-fi. This book, by the way, the Library of America edition, was published in 2016, but the Malafrena, the novel that we are reading, was first published in 1979, but it was actually the first book that Le Guin wrote, which wasn't published. It was rejected by publishers. And later, when she was already an established sci-fi author, she went back to Malafrena, rewrote it, and then it got published in 1979. So it's not science fiction, it's historical fiction to some extent. It's set in the early mid 19th century, so around 1820 in Europe, but in a fictional country, Orsina, which is part of the Austrian Empire. Austria has occupied Orsina and has forced the king there, the Orsinian king, to relinquish his throne. And the story is about a couple of young people in that country who decide what to do, whether or not to revolt against the regime, the oppressor, Austria. There is a young guy, Italy, 2 women, his sister, Laura, and his friend from his childhood friend, Piera. And it is a kind of a weird combination of historical fiction, because some of the historical facts are definitely true. You know, Napoleon has just been exiled for the 2nd time, but Orsina doesn't exist, and nor do the rulers of Austria. They are all made up. I'm not 100% into this story, I have to say. It's a bit too, it's not historical fiction and it's not fantasy. So it's a bit between, I feel like I'm sitting between the chairs. But on the other hand, it is Ursula Le Guin, so it's just wonderfully written. The characters are fantastic, also the character developments and the setting, how she describes the setting and the 1820s life is really fascinating. So I will keep you posted, but we are working on this, and I think we will finish Malafrena for sure this month, but it will take us a while to finish the whole book. And the other book that I'm currently reading is this one, Maria Tatar, The Heroine with 1001 Faces, published in the fall last year. I talked about this book already a little bit when I hauled it. Maria Tatar is a professor of languages and Germanic something, but she's mostly interested in folklore, tales, and lore. So she looks at fairy tales, but also at mythology, conscious mythology. And this book is actually an answer to a quite famous book about heroes by Joseph Campbell, published in 1949, called The Hero with 1000 Faces. And the Campbell's book had enormous influence on especially fantasy literature, but also movies like, Star Wars, because he sort of gave a structure of what a hero is like, looking at, Odysseus, heroes from our mythology past in various countries, and came up with a sort of, I'm definitely lacking words today. I had a dinner with quite some alcohol yesterday. That might be the reason. But anyway, the attributes that a hero should have or always has, and it's very male. Women are not heroes. Women are at home waiting for the hero, supporting the hero on his quest. And this is the feminist answer to that, because Marie Tatar rightfully says that's just a load of sexist BS. So she explores, first of all, the male-centric idea that we have of what a hero is, and then she looks at history, mythology, lore, folklore, at the women, what kind of role the women played, and that they were heroes as well, or heroines. Like I said, I just started, and so far it's really fascinating, quite engaging and well written. So I'm definitely looking forward to picking this up again and reading. And of course, I will keep you posted once I finished it. And then I just want to very quickly mention the 2 books that I'm about to start either today or next week. And the first one is nonfiction, Rachel Carson, The Sea Around Us, first published in 1951. This was another perfect Christmas present. Heidi gave this to me together with another Rachel Carson book, Silent Spring. We read Rachel Carson's Under the Sea Wind together last year, and it was for both of us our first Rachel Carson, and we both loved it. And it's also Rachel Carson is the pick for the Book Naturalist Book Club for January. So it's not one particular book, but a book or more than one book by Rachel Carson. So it was the perfect Christmas gift. I decided to start with this one, and Rachel Carson was an early environmentalist, but also a marine biologist, and this is her second book about life in the sea. So if it's half as good as the first one, Under the Sea Wind, it's fantastic. And the other book that I will start next week is my reread for the month. That is Lolly Willows by Sylvia Townsend Warner, first published in 1926. And if you watched my plans, goal, ambition video for 2022, I said that I want to reread at least one book a month, and that I will, pick a book beginning of the month to reread, just something that speaks to me. And this one spoke to me for January. It's about Lolly Willows, the woman who is, the unmarried aunt that lives with the family, her brother's family, and she's just always there and reliable until she decides in her middle age that she might want to do something different. And the plot ensues from there. I really enjoyed reading this, and I'm very much looking forward to rereading it. So these was my first recent reads on Sunday for 2022. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you will stick with me this year with the new schedule also. As always, I'm looking forward to your comment, and I start the year, all caught up. So yeah, me. And I'll see you all soon in the next one.